Hey Cal, how you doing, mate?
I'm not bad. I'm pretty well. Just chilling out. Lovely afternoon for a Monday. Can't complain.
Good stuff, good stuff. So we play cricket together, and we both share kind of a passion for the kind of leisure food and beverage industry, and both worked in it for most of our, if not all of our careers in one way, shape, or form. So we kind of thought it'd be really good to do. We've been talking a lot. I think it's been really something that I've been doing during this time, is talking a lot to people, find out their insight. And we had a really good conversation around kind of leisure as a whole and opportunity that's come out of that's going to come out of this. You know, the theme of my videos is business as unusual. So most of that saying it's going to be a challenging time for this industry, but yeah. So I think what I would love to start with is just to ask you, people's behaviour. It's obviously influences leisure massively. So how do you think people are going to change in the medium and then even the long term? So yeah, that would be my first question to you.
Yeah, I think that it's people's behaviours will certainly change because of this, and I think that one of the big highlights for me has been that sometimes we put people into two sort of pots: people who like to be out and about, and people who like to sit at home and are quite quiet, quite reserved. I think that even within my friend circle, we've seen people who, even though they like the fact that they are almost forced to be at home quite a lot, they do miss human interaction. So I think that, and the people on the other side, like myself, they found it really hard that they can't go out and see people. So I think one of the big things is there's going to be a real strong value around sort of human interaction, being around people, even if it's socially distanced. I think that's really, really important. And actually, when we get to the other side of this, people are going to be, they want to spend more time around people. I think that's a real positive, certainly in our interest in terms of sport and then the drinks industry, certainly.
Yeah, and my theory, and you can correct me if you're wrong, is that certainly initially people will gravitate to smaller communities. So and what implication, and that let's talk about the leisure industry and the fitness industry, because you made a really good point earlier about how that may change from just a going to the gym, and what opportunities could come for that for people working in that industry.
Yeah, I think that some of the stuff that we've seen that's kicked off around the leisure industry because of COVID is quite interesting. Like the stuff that Joe Wicks has done in terms of morning PE stuff. I've seen both kids and parents getting involved and doing it as a community. And I think that the novel of just going to a gym on your own is great, and some people really find that drives them. But actually, again, it links back to that thing that with a lack of human contact, it probably takes the shine off that a little bit. And a lot of people, whilst they do go to the gym quite a lot, they probably play a team sport, or they're interested in sport in some elements. So that'll be a lot more attractive, because you can still do a workout at home on your own, whereas you're missing that bit. So just puts that emphasis back on it. So yeah, I think that talking about smaller communities, people might be a little bit more nervous going to big crowds and sort of big sort of fan orientated things like going to the football, but small teams, small groups of people playing sport, I think actually people will want that more.
Yeah, and I think certain, maybe like some of the personal trainers that used to train people at a gym will probably now do more classes, say in a park or something like that, which will be again very community orientated. So, and on that note, I think there's a lot of talk about home working and how many people are going to work at home compared to maybe going to the office, and what that style was like. And if I look at myself, I've enjoyed being at home and around the family, but I'm still and I've exercised more than I have done and eaten more healthily. So I think, like you quite rightly say, people are going to want to start doing stuff together. But I think that's going to lend itself to a different way that people ingest their leisure. If we talk about the bar industry, I think, well, I'm not going to say I think, I'm interested in what you think about where it's going to leave the leisure, the bar industry in the future, and how maybe they could look at the opportunities for people wanting to get together and what there could be there.
Yeah, I mean, first thing about sort of outside spaces and doing exercise, it's quite funny because you and I both have played a couple of games of cricket where there have been people in the park nearby doing boot camps, and we've probably between us gone, what are them lot doing? Whereas the reality is that now that could probably be the norm, and I think that's a really good thing because, you know, being out in community spaces and people, you know, seeing that healthy sort of mentality is really, really good. In terms of how remote working sort of affects the bar industry, I think one of the things that people have found from working remotely during COVID is that you can have quite an easier work-life balance if you set up for it right, which means that you can probably plan your day a little bit better. And if you are working remotely, you know, you're not in an office environment, so the need to go out after work to see other people could even raise, because I do think remote working is probably here to stay. So, and pubs have always been community hubs. I think we both know we spent some fantastic nights together in bars and pubs, and we understand that community feeling that you have in a pub. So, you know, the local pub could get a real sort of reinvigoration from this, hopefully, because, you know, people might not want to go too far from their homes because, you know, they've been at work all day, even if it is remotely, but going down the pub with a few mates to have a beer, that could be, you know, that could be a real appetizing sort of thing for people. So I think it could be positive.
I think it certainly is for me, and I do believe these hubs, but I actually think that will create a central hub in like a CBD, which are probably the ones paying the most rent, and they're going to be, and there's going to be some change. And I'm not going to sit here on this video and lie and say that it's not going to be a challenge. But I even look back to the evolution of the industry. I remember when I first got into it, it was pre-credit crunch. You could just open the box, dim the lights, put a DJ in the corner and serve trebles, and it was fine. And then as drinking laws changed and bars opened later, then there was a demand for themes, and customers demanded quality. And our industry is a fascinating one because we are totally led by customer trends. Now there are always trailblazers in there, but I think we became a little bit more continental with a lot of F&B rather than just vertical drinking establishments. And we can look at the evolution, and I think there'll be another one. And I think that some leisure operators will take on some of the bigger spaces that may be available in city centre and offer more things like I think we'll see an increase in the likes of the kind of crazy golf and all of that stuff. Everything's a bit more spread out. I can see more of that happening. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. You know, back in the day, pubs could open the doors and anyone would walk through them, and now I think you see more and more operators have understood the fact that you have to have something on. You've got to have a reason to open your bar every day. And I think that, let's be really honest here. There are some absolutely fantastic operators who've done this for years in terms of, they've got themed bars that do golf and ping pong, or, even if they're great sports venues that've got screens in every corner of the bar, or they've got the best DJs that are, I think that people have, bar owners and operators have got their heads around the fact that they need to have something on. And like I say, if the CBDs do change, I think that the ones that are going to really sort of drive forward are the ones that have got a reason to bring people together. And the likes of those sporting venues, bespoke bowling alleys or ping pong rooms or pool rooms, those are big social hubs, and the appetite's certainly there for drinking in those areas. So, I could definitely see that, mate.
And here's an interesting one. So we're going to move to home working with people working in the office 1 day a week, because we want that interactivity, because we talked about this before, people are craving it. But there was people who had adopted home working before this hit. Reading up what they did, what was very interesting is that they made sure that when they did have an office day, that they also got together socially and went to somewhere like the bowling alley, or they went to the golf experience, blah blah blah. And we've been, I think, in some of our cricket nights out, more than half of them we probably went to something like that. That's just because the people that we are, but we went and played ping pong together. We went and did darts. We went and did all those things because larger groups do. And I think that when people do go to that, I think there will be a lot of that. So I do think there is a ton of opportunity out there for the our industry, and it's sort of changed so many times before. It doesn't really frighten me, because you made such a good point. There's some great operators who've already have adapted, and they'll all be thinking about this. And the other one that I think will really never change is high end, high quality. And you nailed it for me with what you said about the sports bar. So if I go to the sports bar, I'll go to one where I almost get my own screen and I get table service. And I think that and even going as will certainly short term to medium term will be more of the norm. People paying by app. I know, like the Wetherspoons app. I know there's probably some other developers that are bringing other kind of technology out there. But I do think high quality that can maybe spread the tables out, or already did, because it wasn't pack them in, stack it high. So high quality, which is certainly with the Hiltons that we work with, and we're working with F&B a lot. That's what they're looking at, and they actually interestingly see F&B as a way of reigniting their hotel trade and engaging their local community. So I do think high quality is also going to be something that will see a resurgence quickly. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that people have, whilst they've been at home, people have dipped into probably things that they probably wouldn't have done before in terms of the drinks industry. So instead of sitting home and drinking a slab of Carling on a night, they've probably gone for a premium brand, or they've tried, I can think of hundreds of brands that have done make your own cocktail at home, or bars that have done cocktail delivery service. These are premium things. And whilst I think that it might go towards a simpler way of serving things, simpler drinks, that doesn't mean that they don't have to be high quality. And I absolutely think that you're right. There are some really there will be opportunities driven around quality, because people say, well, if I am only going to go out that one time during the week, then I want to go somewhere that I feel like I've had an experience, which is what we were sort of pushing towards anyway as an industry. But I think that certainly those areas that do offer premium brands will certainly stand out, I think.
And probably what will happen is that if you take you're right, it's taking the risk out of you're investing your time. It's not going to be as frequent. It's going to so there's going to be a bit more pressure on it. So what naturally will happen there, because I remember this happening in the last recession, 2008, people gravitate towards big brands, don't they? And I know that I always call it the McDonald's factor. It's like, I know what I'm going to get if I go to a McDonald's. Yeah. So and so I'm not, when I used to travel, I would always try and have the local cuisine, but sometimes I hated it, sometimes I loved it. And if I was stupidly hungry, we'd go to a McDonald's because I knew that I was going to get. And it's the same with big brands in a bar. And I will always try all the local stuff that's there, but being honest, if I'm not going to be out again for a while, I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to try some wacky ale. I'm going to go after the premium, and that's the premium big brands, and also the regionals that have really got their branding and their point of sale and their digital and their presence like sorted. And I know you're kind of connoisseur of ales, but I guess you'd probably even agree that you would go something like, I don't know, where we live, you'd go Kirkstall maybe over something a little bit more kind of risque. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, I think so. The big thing here that through all of this that we're talking about is consumer trust and how much they trust going back into a pub or a bar or choosing a brand. And I think the McDonald's effect, which you've sort of highlighted, is really important. People will always go back to what they trust. The other bit as well is that I think that we're in quite a different sort of stage than we were during the last recession because of the multitude of micro distilleries and micro breweries. So I think that actually for some of those guys, hopefully there's some opportunities in there because people might,
that's good to hear.
Because I think that whilst people are they will still go back to the big brands. This thing about having smaller community hubs and, people as a community, they will still want to support that local thing. And I think if you look at a lot of social media at the moment, people are talking constantly about support your independence. And I think that is genuinely a really strong sort of sentiment across the UK, certainly in my industry. So I don't think it's all the case of everyone just sticking to big brands. I think that you'll see big brands do well out of it because people trust them and they can go back to them and they know what they're getting. But at the same time, I think there is also that fervour to really support local. So I wouldn't pin my hat on it and say, yeah, everyone's just going to drink big brands, because the reality is that we're very different from where we were. And I think that there is that local community feel that I hope people continue on with.
And I think they will. And if you look at, I'm going to use the taxi industry that we work in. They have embraced their local community and they have increased their brand, increased their trust. And we're working with them now on trust. And, you talk about trust, and trust is key. For me, it's the most important thing out of this in the medium term is get your trust right. And that can be through community integration. And I think that's where the micro breweries and distilleries can really nail and become a part of that movement towards the community. Because, I do believe that community in all the different formats, from leisure, from supporting each other, everything, working within it whilst working from home, I do think it's going to become a really prominent part of the future of the leisure industry. And I find it quite exciting. I do, and it'd be interesting to see what happens. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be full of opportunities, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that the big thing is that when we come out the other side of this, some of these smaller local bars or brands, they can act quicker. They're not tied down by some of the slow time periods that happen with bigger brands. So. And I think that we will see some quite fast-paced movements in the way that things reopen or things are allowed to do this and that. And some of these guys can act really, really quickly. Doesn't necessarily mean that they'll do it, but in my mind, I'm sort of hoping that they will jump on those opportunities and really sort of, really cement themselves within that community as part of what it is. Because I think that's really, really powerful and brings people together. So yeah, no, definitely.
Cool. All right, mate. Well, look, it was fascinating talking to you about this. I don't think we've got a crystal ball. I don't think we know exactly how it's going to go, but I do think there's some real insight there. And I think just to re-emphasize, it's about the just and making sure that you are, social media, what we do, can really be a factor of integrating into the community and also portraying really visually what you're looking to do in order to win that trust. And there are lots of opportunities out there, and it will be business as unusual, but there's a real that's the key message from this. So thank you very much, Callum. You keep staying safe. Okay.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Same to you, bud.